Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Jennifer Long from Sew a Story and I am so excited to be here today at the Riley Blake Design Studio. Today I'm going to share with you a quick and fun and easy tutorial called the stuffed apple. This stuffed apple has many uses. It can sit on your mantle in the fall, it can be a table center, or you can even use it by your sewing machine to hold your pins as you're sewing. The best part of all is that you can use the scraps you have on hand to make many of these cute little stuffed apples. Today I am using a collection of mine called Country Life. This collection has lots of different SKUs in a whole rainbow of colors. I'm going to stick with some traditional apple colors, but feel free to be as creative as you want to be. You can download the pattern for 3 different sizes of the stuffed apple. The link will be in the description of this YouTube video. We are doing the 4-inch apple, but they also comes in 6 and 8-inch depending on your skills and how big you want your apple to be. So here's a supply list that you'll need for today's tutorial. Let's get started making this cute apple tutorial together. So you're going to take your 2 pieces of cotton fabric. They can be any size. You're just going to make sure that you can cut out 6 templates from any array of them. So you can make 6 different colored fabrics. I'm going to do 3 of each so they're alternating, but you can choose how you want to do them. So I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to use, this is the trick, I'm going to use fusible fleece on the back side of this cotton. I'm going to take it over there and fuse it before I cut the template out. And the reason why, it just gives body and stability to your apple before you even stuff it. So it really gives it a nice clean shape around the apple. So I'm going to take both of these pieces and put the bumpy side up and I'm going to fuse them together just like this. I already have it prepared for you here and I have these 2 fused together. Because I am a doll maker, I like to work in tiny scale. So I'm going to use the 4-inch stuffed template and I'm going to cut 3 out from one color and 3 out from the other color. So these are going to be just easy to cut. I'm just going to cut one like this. Now if you download the pattern from this website, you will also see on there that there's SVG cut files. So if you have a cutting machine such as a Cricut or any other cutting machine, you can just place it into your cutting machine like this fused. Just make sure that you are using the correct blade, a rotary blade, and the correct depth for this kind of backed fleece. Okay, so here's one cut out and I already have them all cut out for you here. So I'm going to take 3 in this colorway and 3 in this colorway. And if you notice, the apple has a slight different shape than a teardrop. So you can see that this is a bigger side and this is a skinnier side. So you're going to make sure that you want to have them all the same way. And it just gives a more realistic look and a kind of a better base to your apple to sit. So that has a little bit wider of a base at the bottom. Now I'm going to alternate them so that I have them in opposite. Oh, this is like keep your eye on the prize and have them alternating over here. I just simply flip one over top and I'm going to take 2 pins and pin it in place. And I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance using my 1/4 inch seam presser foot all the way along one side. Start right at the tip and you're going to go all the way along one side that you've pinned there. You're going to repeat and do that for all of these pieces. I already have that sewn for you. So it's going to look like this all the way around and it opens up to appear that way. Then you simply just take 2 of these together and you're going to pin and sew 2 together. We want a total of 6. So we're going to do this twice, but let me just show you how to do this. I'm going to take the seam and with my fingers, I'm going to open up this seam. We want to reduce some of the bulk that's going to happen at the point. So you're going to keep it open. And again, I'm making sure that my pointiest point, my tip is here. This is the bigger base. So just make sure that they're both there and I'm not sewing them together opposite. So once you're aware of that, I'm going to open up that seam and take the other one and open up this seam and place them and meet the tops together. There we go. You don't have to worry about thinking of it as a circle yet. Do not think of it as a circle yet. I'm going to take my pin and I'm going to stick it right through the seam on both and place it down. I'm only concentrating on one side of this, so it's kind of like sewing, you can think of it as a straight seam. It's a little bit of a curved seam, but once you've got these two pieces aligned, you'll have no problem. You're just going from seam to seam. I'm going to borrow this pin from over here and put it through that seam allowance. And I'm just going to tack one more down here so you can see that I'm going to sew right along on this one. I'm going to take the third pin and make it there. Now, the beauty of backing it with this fusible fleece is look how that already holds its shape so nicely. So it's going to be making sewing this seam a lot easier, not floppy, and it'll just go through your machine really nicely. So I've done it here with 4 sections. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've sewn them all together, and you're going to continue that same process with your second section. So your second section that you have there, you're just going to repeat that same process again here, and then a 4th time on here. So you'll complete your apple all the way. One thing you want to do is we're going to leave a tiny hole at the top for turning and for inserting our top of our apple. So I've left the opening at the top here so that I can turn it and I can also insert. So the last 2 seams that I've done, I've left them open just slightly backstitched so it won't open up. Before you get to turn it, we're going to remember to clip the seams around. Because it's a curved seam, we really want to make sure that it forms to the curve that is happening. So just take your scissors and go along, being very, very careful not to clip your stitch line. And you're just going to go all the way along your arch and snip down there. If you're having a lot of bulk at the bottom, you can also just try and open them up, but just again, keep it in the seam allowance. I've done that for all 6 of the pieces already here. I just wanted to show you that process. Okay, so now we're going to have the fun and turn this apple together. I'm going to use a tool that I use in doll making. It's called a pair of hemostats. So they are a medical tool, but you can grab them pretty much anywhere. This is just, an ordinary pair of them. They're not too long, and they have teeth on here that grab fabric and the stuffing, and they have a dull edge, which I really like so it doesn't puncture the fabric. It also clips here so you don't have to have a tired hand when you're holding things. You can also use a point turner as well. Let me just show you how easy it is to turn. So I'm going to unclip them but keep them together and insert them into the bottom of my apple. I have opened them up now, and using this finger here, I'm going to press in there and I'm going to grab and click it together. Then I'm just going to slowly and carefully turn this around, and you're going to see, like magic, it pulls this apple inside out. Are you ready for it? Here it is. Dun, 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 dun. So here's the apple fully turned. Now it's not all the way pushed out. You can use your point turner, or for speed, if you're making a lot of apples, you can just close this up so you don't catch anything and press this inside, and then just go along each seams just like you would with a point turner and open everything up. So we're going to expand that apple. Oh, it's getting cute already. Now it does have some body and shape because of the fusible fleece that we've used. And don't worry if it doesn't quite resemble the other apple yet. It kind of looks like a deflated balloon, and that is just okay. We're going to take this apple here now, and we're going to take our stuffing. So I'm just using a general polyester stuffing, but you can choose whatever kind of stuffing you like. And here's a tip and trick from a doll maker to you. So you're going to take your stuffing and you are going to pull it and separate it, small pieces. You don't want to push huge amounts of stuffings into there. I'm going to pull it apart so that there's nothing hard or compacted in any way. And then I'm going to squeeze it together in my hemostats. I'm going to push it into the bottom of the apple, and I'm going to try to start to fill one corner. After I've released it, I'm using that to push it in and pack it down. Now, you're going to be surprised. Look how much stuffing we have. We'll see how much we need to use to build this apple together. So this is still not quite looking like our apple, is it? And we've put a lot of stuffing in here. That is okay, and that is what's going to happen. You're going to continue to push those seams out, and you continue to work this stuffing in. So really the amount of stuffing I've put in here is only half the amount. This is a really common education point for when you're making anything stuffed, is that people tend to understuff their toys or their products. So you're going to want to keep stuffing until you think, wow, is that all going inside of the apple? And it's going to make this beautiful shape. Look, it's already taking more shape, but more can fit in there. I'm going to really work it down and keep going. The beautiful thing about stuffing is if you get to a point where you think there's too much, you can always just pull some of it out. But I would be surprised if you ever find that you've stuffed with too much stuffing. I still think I could probably use more. Good. So that is just about perfect. I've used all of our stuffing. It's all gone there. I think I could even use more, but we're just going to keep going with this tutorial so you can see how it's already taking a really, really nice shape. Excellent. The last thing you're going to do is you can use a twig or a stick or a spool, but I just thought apples and cinnamon go so well together, especially at holiday time. So I'm taking a cinnamon stick. It smells so good. And I'm going to put it right inside. So I'm going to find a nice deep hole. I don't want to just have it at the top. I really want to dig a hole through that stuffing and put my cinnamon stick and bury it in there. For extra security, you can use a couple dabs of hot glue here, but we're also going to stitch it nice and tight in place, and depending on what your uses are for this, it is holding it nice and secure. All right, so here we have the apple. I'm going to take my thread and needle and I'm going to do an invisible stitch and close up this top. We're going to cover it with a leaf, our last end, so you don't need to worry about that too much. So have it over to one side, and I'm going to use a ladder stitch. So I'm going to put it in through the seam. I already have it knotted. It's a double thread. And a ladder stitch is a excellent stitch that we use in doll making a lot. It's like an invisible stitch. So you pull it in on one side of the seam and just comes in like that. And then you cross directly over to the other side, so to that darker side, and you put it in where you want it to close. And then when you pull it tight, you're going to see it's going to close and then it's going to disappear. Keep making sure I use the point of my needle to push that seam inside, and I'm going to do again another ladder on this side and then give it a little pull, making sure using the point of my needle that it's closing up, and I'm going to keep working my way up into this invisible ladder stitch. Look at that, it's just disappearing. It also makes it a lot easier when you're working with a fusible fleece. So just working with a product that has a bit more stability to it will really help. When you get to the end, you're just going to put a knot in here. It's okay if you're seeing a little bit of raw edges. We're going to cover it up. I'm going to put a knot in here, so I'm going to put it through the loop and then pull. You can make 1 or 2 knots, and I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to set it aside for a minute, and I'm going to come over to my leaf. Right now I'm using a wool felt, and I'm going to put the leaf on here and I'm going to trim it out. If you want to, you're certainly welcome to use an embroidery thread and create those veins right onto your leaf. Otherwise, you can cut this out with scissors, or again, if you have a cutting machine, you can use your cutting machine and the SVG cut files to cut out these leaves. So I have a number of them here. You can put multiple leaves on. I think I'm going to do two in 2 different colors. Wouldn't that be pretty? So I'm going to do it like this. So now that I have this cast off, it's already tight there. I'm going to put it through one more time, and I'm going to put it through on just the bottom of the leaf. It's actually nice when the leaf gets pulled in, it kind of creates, instead of a flat shape, it kind of creates that sort of rounded shape with the leaf. So I'm going to pull it in about 1/4 inch from the bottom and stick it back through again really close. So it's going to make a nice tight weave. And it's going to pull it in right where I want. I'm going to pull it down one more time, and you just kind of have to stitch through and back Oh yeah, it's getting cute already. So fun. Oh, these are addictive. Once you make one, you're going to want to keep making them over and over. You can give these are great, great, great teachers' gifts because we know that apples are a great sign of teachers. So for back to school, you can make these and give them to your teachers at the end of the year. It's just a really, really fun, easy home decor. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to make a knot at the back and just put it right through. And then I'm going to run a long tail through the whole apple. So I never want to cut my thread where I've ended it. I'm going to put my needle through and take it as far as I can get it to go out the other side and pull it out. And then I'm going to cut really tight and close. I'm actually going to give it a little pull so it's going to disappear inside, but that way I have a long tail inside. Good, it's disappeared and it's gone. And there's your beautiful apples. If you want to find out more about me, we'll have a link in the description of this video. And I'm so happy to be here at the Riley Blake Designs studio with you today.